And we have an amazing guitarist, songwriter, singer. I'll tell you what, I'm not even going to do the introduction until we see him on the screen. Okay. And then I'll introduce him. And then you and I will come back after the interview and we'll chat about it. We'll chat about life because we got things to chat about. So let me go get this guy. Let's see. Let's go over here and over here. Let's see. Hey, you're sideways, man. You went sideways.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Come on, Keaton. We need landscape.
Is that better?
No, you're still the same way, man. I say we do the whole show like this.
Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on.
You're good.
You're awesome.
You're
You're awesome. Now, I didn't do the introduction until we brought you back because that would have been hilarious doing the introduction and having you sideways.
The sideways man.
All right, hang tight because you deserve an introduction here. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure. My pleasure. We're going to have some fun. We just bonded for 2 minutes in the waiting room. That's how fast, that's how long, that's how far back we go. We're friends from way back. So far back. Here to promote his new EP, 1, 2, 3, Go, on Best Revenge Records. Guitar player, from what I understand, and I'm going to have you clarify a lot of this, guitar player with Chris Cornell, Snoop Dogg, and Gnarls Barkley. He's got an impressive resume here. His music's been featured on Sons of Anarchy, as well as Hollywood Heights and a list of others. He's got an infectious groove. I read that term, and I'm stealing it, man. I'm stealing it because it's so fitting, man. An infectious groove. And listen, born in L.A., sailed off to Nashville.
Yes,
Please welcome Keaton Simons to the show, man. How are you?
Hey. Good. It's Simons, just to clarify, but that's okay. Don't worry. I was going to say I was sideways before. I have sideways Simons. That's
The funny thing is, that was one of the questions I had for you. I'm like, is it Simmons or Simons, man? Simons.
It's Simons. It happens all the time. Don't even worry about it.
Are you sure?
Yes. I'm so sure.
Oh, man. So thank you so much for joining us here on Wake Up to the Vibe, man. This is a pleasure.
It's a pleasure. It's rare that I have to be awake this early for any reason. So I got my cup of coffee.
I love it. You are the third Nashville cat on the show in 10 days, actually.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, we had Liz Longley on the show. She's awesome.
I love her. I love Liz. I've known her for years.
Oh, is that right? She's amazing. Yeah, she was on a couple weeks ago. And then that led to the Young Fables. Okay.
Oh, great.
Which they are fantastic. And then Jason Adamo, another awesome artist here in the Raleigh area, but was in Nashville, right?
Yeah. Incredible.
And now we have Keaton Simons in the house. That's it, man.
Now we got me. And I can definitely introduce you to some other really killer artists from here and from all over the world.
Yeah, awesome, man. Looking forward to it. And you hang out at the Bluebird Cafe at all?
Yeah, I've gotten to play there a couple times, which has been an incredible honor.
Yeah.
That place is just magical. It really is. It's just absolutely magical.
Yeah, it really is. And so let me set the stage here for you and for our guests. This is Coffee Hour with Joe and Rebecca. That's what this is. There's no formality here. Okay.
No.
But I want to tell you a quick funny story. It's not really funny, but I'm going to tell you my quick Bluebird. I lived in Nashville for a year, and this interview is not about me, but I have to share this with you. And since we're here, right? So I'm sitting in the Bluebird Cafe, and you know how it's a listening room. You don't go there and chat it up with your friends. You're there to listen to the songwriter. They will ask you to leave if you've had a few drinks and you're talking. You're there to listen to the music, right?
Definitely.
I have never been so quiet in my entire life.
Did you hear your stomach growling and stuff? Your heartbeat.
This was funny. So when I'm in the bathroom, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's this guy in there, and he just get eye contact, and he goes, hey, how you doing? I go, wow, I can talk to someone. I'm like, hey man, yeah, shh, they can hear us, right? So we get talking, and we had a great conversation in the bathroom for like 10 minutes. And I said, what's your name? He goes, Jim. I go, hey Jim, nice meeting you, man. I go back, I sit back down, And the artist, I forgot who was playing that night at the Bluebird, and she goes, "I'd like to welcome my good friend Jim Messina to come on up here." And it was Jim Messina from Loggins and Messina, right? And I just loved that guy my whole life, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is awesome. That's what I love about Nashville, man.
That is the thing about Nashville. That's what I love about Nashville. I've been coming here for 15 years to play and do radio and do promo and this and that and the other thing. And the reason I moved is because I started playing lead guitar with Brett Young.
Oh, no kidding.
Who's an old friend and also a Jason Adamo.
I was just going to say,
they co-wrote "Beautiful Believer."
Right. Wow. Jason's got a song on his album, and so you're playing guitar now. Well,
right. So for the last year and a half, I've been lead guitarist for Brett, and that's what prompted the move to Nashville.
Oh, wow!
And that's one of the things that he loves most about Nashville. Also, is that you've got Brett Young and Keith Urban and whoever it might be, and you go down to the local bar. Everybody's there hanging out. Nobody's so precious that they can't just show up and be out there hanging and walking down the street and say hi. And it's just such a great relaxed vibe. It's way less about the kind of celebrity of it all. It's much more about the integrity of the work. People really if somebody fawns over someone, it's because they respect them so much. It's
That's right.
They've seen them half naked on Instagram, you know?
Right, exactly.
Right, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. The culture in Nashville is like no other, man. There's nothing like it. It's a family.
It really is. It's a family. And it's great. And in this band, we miss the road so much. We miss hanging with each other, but we're all just staying strong and getting through this. And, we are in a more fortunate position than a lot of people, but we are going to have to probably wait the longest because these are the shows that I've been doing with Brett are arenas and stadiums and stuff. So those are going to be the bigger gatherings of people, which will probably happen later. But we can't wait to get back out there.
Yeah, good, man. Well, we're praying for you and rooting for you. You know what I mean? Because
thank you, man.
Because I mentioned this the other day. A good friend of mine, he's probably in the room today. Kenny Ackerman, great guy. He's like one of the main light guys. I don't know his exact title, but he's been with the Stones for like 15 years, then Rush, and then probably even more. He's probably correct me on the amount of time that he was with the Stones, and now he's with Trans-Siberian Orchestra for like the last 5+ years. He's out of work, man.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. Just like yourself. It's very unfortunate. Yeah.
Well, the good news for me and for a lot of artists is that we, in this day and age, if it had been 20 years ago, it would be like, goodbye, everybody. You know what I mean? Like, we would have no way. We would like try to do a telephone call or something. You know what I mean? Like, but now, I've been doing concerts online for well over 10 years now. And now it's great because it's getting so much more organized. You're seeing that suddenly it's starting to look better and sound better. And people are getting really organized with it. People are, no matter what the obstacles, no matter what the challenges, that's when you're going to see the most creative, the most brilliant and ingenious solutions to those problems. And ways to conquer those challenges and to overcome those obstacles. And it's just been cool to see, we're all just thinking of creative things to do. In recent times, I've gotten more into composition, like film and television composition. I just finished scoring a feature film called Love, Weddings, and Other Disasters. Did the entire score and entire soundtrack.
I love the title.
Funny title, right? Well, it's Dennis Dugan, who did Happy Gilmore, Grown Ups, Saving Silverman, the list goes on and on. And it stars Diane Keaton, Jeremy Irons, Maggie Grace. It's a really beautiful, amazing movie. Elle King, brilliant artist. Elle King is in the movie. I'm in the movie a little bit.
All right.
And myself and Brett Young's musical director, Noah Needleman, who's an old dear friend of mine, I brought him in to do this, and now we've become like a composition team. So
very cool.
Awesome.
And that's something that does not require
being on the road.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Yeah, you're lucky to have that talent and skill set, right?
Well, thank you. Yes, absolutely. It's always been really important for me since the very beginning. Because I grew up in a film and television or entertainment industry family, and so I understood that being in that industry doesn't necessarily look like any one particular thing. There's so many different facets and so many different things that you can do. So I've always been careful not to put all my eggs in one basket, so to speak. And, you know what I mean? So because for me, it's all about my passion and love for being creative, and especially in the medium of music. So it's like any way that I get to be creative with music makes me feel fulfilled. So I just look for as many avenues as possible.
Right. So literally just for our viewing audience, so they know, we literally knew each other for 60 seconds before we went live because I was late. My microphone wasn't working. Your camera was sideways. I'm like, oh my gosh. And we're very conscientious of trying to be on time. Right. So,
of course.
So I had one question for you and I said, hey, is anything off limits? And you said no. Right. Okay. So I'm going to bring something up because you talked about being in show business since birth. Literally though, for you since birth. Did I read something that your mother was pregnant for you and she starred in Animal House?
My mom was in Animal House and she was pregnant with me at the time. So technically I was in Animal House.
Animal House.
I was in my mom in Animal House.
Is that on your resume as one of the roles you starred in Animal House?
I know, right? With the way that people fluff resumes, I could do it. I could put it on there.
Oh, that's great.
But no, it's a hilarious thing. In fact, just recently was the 40th anniversary of Animal House, which I'm dating myself, of course, obviously. And my mother and I were both asked to go to Eugene, Oregon, or near there where they filmed the movie, and hang. They were throwing like the world's biggest toga party. There were thousands of people all dressed in togas at this toga party. Otis Day was there.
Oh, no kidding.
Wow.
I performed with him. The last surviving member of the Kingsmen was there. The like, hello. He's like 1,000 years old, had to be carried to and from stage. But it was an unbelievable experience. Such a trip being there. This town is very Animal House centric because it's a big claim to fame for them. And especially during this time. So it's like we're walking down the street and it's like an Animal House themed Disneyland Main Street in the middle of Oregon. It was just like, this is incredible.
That's funny stuff. I mean, what was growing up in high school for you? Like, did you play on that? I mean, if my mother was pregnant for me and she started in Animal House, I would have had a field day in school on that one there. I would have.
Wow. I was born and raised in LA. I was not from the most famous family in my school, probably, but
this is true.
No, growing up in that kind of environment has been really, really good, I think, for me.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people can get very blinded by the idea of celebrity. And it's something that for me is so incredibly commonplace.
Yeah.
It doesn't have, it's been demystified. It was never mysterious for me, you know, and I'm really fortunate. It's helped me through my whole life just to navigate life.
I was going to say you navigate differently.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. And it's it's the kind of thing that it's really difficult. It's nearly impossible to avoid. And it's a perfectly reasonable phenomenon. It's when people are completely familiar with your face. They see it all the time. You know what I mean? They've seen you in a million movies and TV shows and posters and this and that. And
right.
That's how you develop a familiarity with somebody. So it's like no wonder that people feel like, I know this person. And then since they don't actually know that person, the dynamic is kind of a little bit off, you know? So it can be really hard. It can be really hard for people to kind of like know if anyone actually cares about them or if they just want to be,
That's
in
right.
proximity.
Oh man, what an interesting perspective, though. I mean, no matter where you're from in the world, and our family origin, right, has a lot to do with who we are and how we grew up.
Oh, yeah.
I think sometimes we lose the perspective of other people. We get caught up in our own perspective, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's also no surprise. Every single human being is just a walking universe.
Right.
You know what I mean? In a skull, just trying to navigate around a bunch of other universes. We create the whole universe. Of course we feel like we're the center of the universe.
Right. That's funny. How did it, and we're freestyling this interview. There's no structure to any of this. I'm starting to wonder if there's any structure left in my life.
I know, right? That's right.
But how do you end up playing? And again, I know you're from LA and you were born and raised in LA. Chris Cornell to me is I soon whenever I hear his name, it's funny. I don't even think of one of his songs. I think of him doing the Sinead O'Connor song because I cried.
I know.
Right.
Yeah, I was with him.
Is that right? I mean,
I was with him for that performance. We one at Sirius XM.
Dude, I just the hair on my arms. You just sent like this chill through my entire body. It's
yeah, dude. It was an unbelievable, absolutely unforgettable experience.
Oh,
Chris and I got really close, really fast. We had the same birthday.
Oh
wow.
Like, 10-ish years apart, but same
right
date.
Right.
And we just really connected on so many levels. He had gotten turned on to my music and then reached out to me online on like Twitter and sent me a message and said, "I really digging your stuff and stuff." And I was like floored, and I said, "Well, dude, if you ever need somebody to shake a tambourine, I'll do anything." And he's like, "Okay," like noted. I could tell it was in the mind. And then a couple months later, I got an email from him and his management saying, "We'd love for you to join on a whole press run." And so we did that Sirius XM thing, which we did Nothing Compares to You, but we also did 4 other songs, acoustic as well. And oh my God, it was such a magical thing. One of the things that was very similar about myself and Chris is we both come from a songwriting background that's just purely like idiosyncratic. We started writing songs in our own way before we knew about song structure and form and any kind of a formulaic way to write a song. I didn't even know there was such a thing until I was years into songwriting and started writing with like professionals.
Oh, there's actually something to this.
Well, no, I thought it was just pretty much magic. You know what I mean? And I like, somehow I'm able to magically do this, and it is magic. There is something magical about it, but so Chris, if you look at like Black Hole Sun, it's written by Chris Cornell. You don't see that anymore. You see 20 names.
That's right.
Things like that. And so rehearsal, he was like that too. We didn't do anything to a click. There were no tracks. There was nothing like that. Barely rehearsed. And for that acoustic thing, I think we rehearsed. I think we went through those tunes once.
Wow.
Before we played them. And it was just such an incredible, and that's the way I prefer to do it. That's my preference too, because if you are with musicians that are of the caliber that you need to be with, if you want to do stuff in a good way, then that just puts people in a more heightened state of awareness where they're listening more acutely because they're not resting on the laurels. Oh, I know this song. I've played it 1,000 times. Right. That's when stuff gets stale or stupid mistakes start to happen where things like that. But when you're like, I don't know what's coming next until I hear it, then you're engaged and you have no choice. It's sink or swim.
I just had this vision of you like turning your head and going, I'm not just a musician, I'm a magician.
Musician.
I'm a musician.
I like that better.
Yeah, well, and what you're saying is so true about the fact that you could over rehearse it and this and that, because you know what happens. I think you start playing from a technical perspective versus playing from your heart and soul.
Exactly. It's the truth is every moment is entirely unique. It may seem like you've been doing the same thing over and over again and you're bored and so on and so forth, but that's not true at all. In fact, the only moment that actually exists is the one you're in that very moment. So embracing that and owning that's been my technique since the very beginning.
Awesome.
For a way to never feel bored or feel like my songs are stale. I've been playing, some of the songs I've been playing, I wrote 20 years ago, but every time I perform them, I acknowledge and respect that as a unique moment and a unique experience. It doesn't matter if it's the same song. It's a completely new moment, a completely new experience. It never gets stale.
Yeah.
If you see it that way.
Yeah. Beck, what were you saying to me this morning about perfection?
Well, I was reading your About Me, and I loved what you said. I don't believe in perfection, which we were just talking about. Since perfection doesn't exist, you have to replace it with acceptance. That's something, what you just said, that's something Chris and you had in common. And you said neither of us like to over-rehearse, and we wanted to preserve the raw spontaneity. That's where some of the best stuff happens. And I feel that with Joe and I, we don't rehearse. We just fly by the seat of our pants.
Oh my God!
Exactly. That's true of the best collaborators.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't rehearse to write a song. We don't rehearse to. So it's all the same thing. I do understand. Certain shows are like that, and if they're certain artists, their music is more geared toward a very rigid performance, and in certain cases, like if you're doing big stage shows, arenas and stadiums and things like that, typically there will be effects and lights and everything is synced to the same system. So it's all MIDI, it's all run on the same thing. So the whole show has to be on a track at least. You're playing at least with a click so that things happen at the exact time that they're programmed to happen, But with Chris, I couldn't imagine him ever doing that. He would make the decisions the last minute. It just reminded me of myself so much. I felt so comfortable.
The click would respond with, "I'm not doing this."
Exactly.
I mean, and man, there's so much. We get on the air with a guy like yourself, and 2 hours isn't enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
No.
We'll just have to. I'll come back.
That's right. So, and I do have some stuff queued up of yours, and I want to talk about your music. I'm going to come back and talk to you about Snoop Dogg, because I just have a little bit of curiosity how a guy like yourself, you're picking and grinning with Nashville Cats and you're playing songs with Chris Cornell, and then
Snoop. Snoop was a long time ago. It was toward the beginning of my career. I first started like hip hop and funk. Slim Kid Trey from the Far Side. I don't know if you remember the Far Side from the 90s. The Shakey's all back and back. So that I was Trey's musical director starting from the time I was 17.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like, I played the first time I played the Whiskey and the Roxy and all that stuff. I started playing those when I was 15, 16 years old. Like I was on those stages, and started with Trey at like 17. Went to college and the Evergreen State College in Liberty, Washington, studied ethnomusicology. And right when I got back, started playing with millions of different hip hop and funk bands around LA, including Snoop Dogg. And we played The Tonight Show in 2002, I think.
Yeah, very cool.
Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Wow. I watched his show.
I had hair down to my butt.
You did. I watched his show with Martha Stewart. I just started watching it. I'm like, who put this together? It was brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah. So perfect. But see, the cool thing was, when we did the Tonight Show, Snoop had never done a couch interview. He hadn't done one yet. It was all music, and he had this persona of like a scary guy. You know, he'd had issues with the law. He has songs like 187 on Undercover Cop and stuff like, you know what I mean? Like all this crazy stuff. So he wasn't the cartoon character that he's becoming now. He's a Captain Crunch, you know what I mean? So this was his first couch interview. And they were like, we want you to do a live performance and then go over to the, you know, couch and sit, and Jay's going to interview. He's like, what do you want to talk to me about? He almost didn't do it. Right. But he was almost like, forget about this, I'm going to go home. But then he was like, all right. And that was like the icebreaker, really.
Wow.
And he started, remember, like he's on there and he's saying, and Jay asked him something, he responds, and like the audience really responded, like laughing and stuff like that. And I could see that kind of transitional moment where Snoop was like, oh, you know, or the world kind of was like, oh, this is a likable, lovable person who we want to get to know. This is not some scary criminal, you know.
Snoop's like, I like being on the couch.
Exactly. And he never got up.
Oh man. So let's do this, because I know our viewing audience, they're anxious to hear some of your music. I'm anxious to play it. So I'm gonna actually, which do you prefer? Do you prefer I play 1, 2, 3 first, or do you prefer the other what was the other? A Change in the World, right? That was super. I love that tune, man.
Thanks.
That's super cool. Let's go. Can I go with A Change in the World first?
Absolutely. The song in that case called Find Us, and yes, for a movie called A Change in the World.
Oh, all right. Oh, I'm sorry. Then, man, I'm getting it all wrong. I got your last name wrong.
The original song is called Define Us, and then I adapted it for this movie. But yeah, please go right ahead.
Oh, cool. Because I was going off of the YouTube. I must have read the YouTube title wrong.
That's what it says on the title of the YouTube. No.
Yeah.
It's confusing. It was confusing when I was looking for it to find the link. So.
All right. So the name of the song is what? Give me the name of the song.
Find Us.
Find us. Okay. I'm going to switch screens. Here's how this works. You will see me, but I can't see you because I'm watching the video on the same screen. All right. So hang tight and we'll be right back. And ladies and gentlemen, this is good stuff today. Let me just switch gears over here. And this song is just, I don't know, man. It's telling a story. Take a listen here.
For every morning after that dream, I would peer into the bathroom mirror in search for clues to answer the questions that had haunted me my whole life. Where were my mother and father?
Can you define love? Can you define hate? Can you define all emotions in between? Can you define war? Can you define peace? Can you define gravity? Your time and space. I can be alright. You can be okay. What does it all mean if we don't get to stay? I can be right here. You can disappear. We can spend our whole lives chasing after fear. So hear me out. Repeating, I can be alright, you can be okay. What does it all mean if we don't get to stay? So hear me out. Oh, we are like thoughts collide.
you're waking up to the vibe. That's Keaton Simons. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, that every single day I do this job, and every day I sit there and go, oh my gosh, it just keeps getting better and better and better. Dude, that was huge.
That was amazing.
Thank you so much. You
So
guys are
impressed.
So sweet.
It's huge. The chorus.
Thank you so much.
When your chorus opens up, I would almost try to hit the note right now and explain to you what I'm. No, I can't. Yes, that's I love that. I love that. It's almost like.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Oh man, it's like I'm literally hanging on my chair. This is amazing.
I worked on that song with wrote and produced with an incredible, brilliant man named John Nathaniel in Montreal, Canada. So beautiful. We've done a few songs together, and that one is just that's the one for me. It just felt so good, and I remember every time I listen to it, every time I think about it, I remember being in the room. I remember when we like working on that exact thing that you're talking about, that big crescendo, that big opening up of the chorus. And I just remember both of us being like,
like how do you just not like turn around and just hug the person next to you? You know? Oh, I'm sorry. I was in line at a Dunkin' Donuts. Sorry, man.
Who was that?
No, man, I'm telling you, like it, and I'm a music guy. I have a little bit of a background in the recording studio and produced some stuff myself and did my little stint in Nashville. Nowhere near what you're doing. But my point being is, like, when I hear certain layers and certain reverbs that like everything about that crescendo, everything about it, the reverb, the delay, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. It was all very meticulously composed. I mean, that's one of the things about John Nathaniel that's so magnificent is his attention to every single detail. There is no frequency left unexamined. You know what I mean? It really is an amazing thing to work with him. The guy is so huge. With like in Quebec radio, he routinely will occupy more than half of the top 10, like with songs that he's written and produced. That's like for the last probably 5 or 10 years. He's like wins every SOCAN award. The guy's amazing.
This is the first time I ever wanted to go back immediately and play the song again. Hey, Keaton, nice talking to you. Can you hold? I'm going to go play the song again. Oh my gosh, man! What are you working on today? Like, where do you go after that? You leave the studio at night, and it's all done. The project's finished, right? You get the mastered copy. I was going to say in the mail, but they don't do that anymore, right?
No, they don't
anymore, young man.
I remember waiting for my mastered copy in the mail.
Yeah, me too.
A while ago.
But where do you go after you listen to the mastered copy and it's done and it's going to be hitting radio stations and satellite radio, and now what do you do for fun?
Well, it all depends. For me, I'm always focused on the kind of next thing or whatever the present moment. I'll get very excited about whatever I'm working on at any given moment. I usually have at least something going on. Right now, there's so much with the film and TV composition stuff that it's just Noah and I have been doing a lot of work together, and we've been really prolific in just a short period of time. We're like exploding creatively, and it's the same kind of excitement leaving the studio every time. I've always compared it to getting a new toy. Like when you wake up in the morning when you're a little kid and you got a new toy, and you wake up in the morning and you remember that you have, oh my gosh, I have a remote control car now. Yeah. It's like you wake up and you run outside and go 5 seconds, and then you have to charge it for 17 hours. But but still, that's how I feel. Whenever I have something new, I'm like, I'll wake up and be like, listen to it right away, and just,
I was
and
like,
then I do the next thing, and I feel that way about that thing.
I was like, Daddy brought home a new cardboard box. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I actually had a lot of toys. I'm the youngest of 7. I had all their toys.
Well, there you go. Toys through the ages.
Yeah.
You got like a museum of toys.
I was like 12 and I even had car keys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. I'm the oldest of like so there's not, we don't have 7 kids in the family, just me and my sister, and then on my my stepmom has 3 sons and my stepdad has a daughter, but I was the first like grandchild, the cousin, whatever, nephew, like just the first one. So it's not that different. I got access to everything also. And
you were the first one to
start. Handed down. It was just because they were like, I wonder what happens if you do this.
I get that comment. You were the first one to star in Animal House.
That's right.
I love that you're referring to this as star. I'm not going to dispute you giving me starring credit.
Hell no, man.
As a fetus, I wasn't even out of my starring.
That's awesome, man. I'm going back to watch it tonight to see if your name's in the credits.
Yeah, me too.
Very small. It's very small.
Very small. Oh my gosh.
Embryonic.
It's embryonic. Font size, embryonic.
Fetal size.
Fetal size.
The fetal Oscar. I should have been nominated for the fetal Oscar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
No, John Landis though does acknowledge that I was in the movie, so
that's classic
right.
stuff,
that's
man.
All that matters.
That's all I need.
You're a classic individual, man.
I know.
Right? That's weird. Human action figure walking around.
Well, no, so it's funny when we were talking about, you go, yeah, well, I usually have stuff going on, after the project. I thought of you saying that to the person at the Dunkin' Donuts that you just gave a hug to, and they go, who's this guy? You're like, I got stuff going on,
I gotta get out of here. I can't stay here and hug you in Dunkin' Donuts all day.
Oh my Lord. I don't even know where to go with this right now. I'm just like, I'm glad you came here to have a good time at 7:00 in the morning.
Listen, it doesn't matter to me what time it is. I hope you have a good time.
I believe you for some reason. For some reason, I believe you.
It's true. I have to make sure. I learned a long time ago. I'm like, you mean I can just be like happy if I want to be? You know what I mean? Like I can like if I make it my responsibility to be happy and have a good time, and then I can just do it whenever I want.
I love it.
That's such a solid point. What you just said, man.
Yeah.
That is the truth. There's so much truth to that. Now I'm not kidding right now. I'm being serious.
I know. No, I'm serious too. That's where the acceptance over, the whole idea behind what I was saying when I said perfection doesn't exist. So look for acceptance instead. There are a lot of things I feel like in life that we encounter that are like that we think of as being ideals, but they actually are fantasies. They're not even real at all. Impossible to attain. And then you have people who are miserable and feel like they've failed in life because they haven't accomplished something that's literally impossible to accomplish. It's a setup. And so people are doing, unwittingly doing it to themselves, setting unrealistic goals. Perfection, to have a goal of perfection, it's like you might as well have a goal to be disappointed.
Wow.
Like that's the true goal behind it, right? And a lot of that ties in with acceptance too. If it's your responsibility to be happy, then it's also your responsibility when you're not happy. And you got to accept that too. You have to take the weight of that. You can't blame that on somebody else either. So it all comes together. And I just,
there's a song in there. Don't blame your misery on me.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not me, it's you.
Right. Listen, man. Oh my gosh. So like I said, we could go on for 2 hours here.
back.
1, 2, 3, go. Title of the EP.
Yes, and that's the most recent release that I've done as solo under Keaton Simons, and it was so fun. I actually made the record as a destination record in Nashville with the great Marshall Altman, who's an incredible producer, writer, artist, industry executive. The guy has done everything, and he's responsible for Matt Nathanson, some Mad Hope with all the "Come On Get High," and Mark Broussard.
Oh my gosh, I love that song.
Love him.
That's Marshall Altman. So it was amazing. We had a killer time. I was in Nashville for like a month and a half, and I always lived in, and now I live here, of course, but I had no idea I was going to move here a year later. And yeah, it was just a fun, wonderful record. It was after I had taken a little bit of time off of focusing on my solo career. So then I wanted to just like go in and see what happens and make it very Nashville. So it's got a real Americana vibe. Awesome. And yeah.
So I love where'd the title come from? Because
1, 2, 3, go.
Can I tell you what I thought of the minute when I read it? I didn't listen to it yet, and when I saw 1, 2, 3, go, I felt like I was gonna jump in a pool.
A pool?
It's basically yes. You jump in a pool. It is essentially that idea. It was like I started writing the song as an improvisation right when I had come back from a tour, and one of the lyrics I say when I get back home, it's back to life. 1, 2, 3, go. Just like all of a sudden, and it's kind of representative of every situation you're in. We can try to prepare all we want, but the truth is sometimes you end up getting diminishing returns when you prepare, because you can create an expectation and then it doesn't get fulfilled. You know what I mean?
Right.
So everything in essence is 1, 2, 3, go. Here you go. Pandemic. Here you go, guys. Boom. You don't have time to prepare. That'd be great. That'd be wonderful. You know what I mean? But that's not actually how it works. So everything isn't just 1, 2, 3, go. Here we are, right in front of you, you know? And so it's a lot about presence, basically.
Awesome. That was a great setup. I'm going to go to it.
Thanks.
All right. Hold on one second here. This is fun, man. This is fun. And this is 1, 2, 3, go. We are talking with Keaton Simons here on Wake Up to the Vibe. Hold on. We got to get rid of that song and come over here to this one. This is organic. This is an organic morning show. Bear with me. Here we go.
When I walk these streets, I feel a certain passion. When you're there with me, we start a chain reaction and fall again. Fall again. I'm off my feet, I'm swept away, I'm stranded. Got my heart tethered, disbelief abandoned the hard way. I learned that hard way. You built a castle out of sticks and bones. Here we go, I get back home, it's back to life. 1, 2, 3, go, after the months of sacrifice. Where did they go? Take time to stop and feel alive. What do we know? I know we'll feel it when it's right. 1, 2, 3, go. Out here alone, remember independence. We're gonna bring it all back home and feel that confidence. I love that confidence. Thinking in circles keeps my mind well-rounded. Searching for subjects just to stay confounded and trying things. I'm always trying things. You built a castle out of sticks and bones. But here we go. When I get back home, it's back to life. 1, 2, 3, go. After the months of sacrifice, where did they go? Take time to stop and feel alive. What do we know? I know the feeling when it's right. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. to start. Here we go. When I get back home, it's back to life. 1, 2, 3, go. After the months of sacrifice, where did they go? Take time to stop and feel alive. What do we know? I know I feel it when it's right. 1, 2, 3, go. When I get back home, it's back to life. 1, 2, 3, go. After the months of sacrifice, where did they go? Take time to stop and feel alive. What do we know? I know I feel it when it's right. 1, 2, 3, go. Go, go. 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 1, 2, 3, go.
You're waking up to the vibe. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh my gosh. I don't know, man. This is just unbelievable stuff right here. I don't know what's going on in my life right now, man.
No, I'm just Keaton, you are awesome, and I'm
Thank
not the
you
only
so
one.
much.
All the comments
Oh.
here, they love
Oh, nice. We're getting comments.
you. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
I looked
I'm
over.
not able to watch. I'm here on the. I got my phone.
Well, what's funny, I glanced
My
over.
phone is looking at me.
I
right
saw a
now.
comment in there real quick from Doug Castine.
Dougie Doe.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
I love that man so much. What a talented
Yeah,
gentleman.
I had so much
And
fun with.
loving, beautiful, amazing person.
It was pretty funny. I don't know if you had a chance to. You could go back and look at the archives on my Wake Up to the Vibe page. And so I'm doing an interview with Jason and Doug, right?
Jason.
And Jason's got birds chirping in the background because he was playing on the porch, right?
On the porch.
I had like birds through the whole thing. I go, this is so classic. This organic radio.
Jason Adamo and I have an inside joke about people getting our names wrong. That goes back. Peter Adimbo. That's what that too.
Peter Adimbo.
I'm Keith Simmons, and he's whatever. Justin Adimbo.
Keith. Oh man. Hey, this was a great pleasure. You were the perfect guest for a Friday. Let me tell you,
Oh my
man.
gosh!
Thank you
Made
so
my
much.
weekends.
Well, it's been my pleasure too. You guys are so awesome. Well, let's do this again.
Let's do this.
And seriously, I want to hook you up with some of my other like artist
Awesome.
friends and stuff.
No,
They're
we're
super
officially connected through Wake Up to the Vibe, man. It doesn't end
Love
here. It doesn't end here. Hey, listen, how do we buy your music? We have that's important, man. Let's push.
Man. You can get it on iTunes, Amazon. You can listen on Spotify and Apple Music. You can get it basically anywhere you buy music. So just
Right.
look up Keaton Simons, Keaton Simons. You'll find all kinds of stuff. YouTube, I just got the YouTube premium, and so they're constantly going, hey, you want to listen to this on YouTube music? Sure, you can listen to it on YouTube music.
YouTube, they're like a bunch of pushers, the people over at YouTube.
Oh, right? It's become so accepted. You'll feel like $1 million.
Oh,
like the
man.
old PSAs.
Yes.
I don't know, man. You feel like $1 million.
You'll feel like $1 million. Classic line.
Yeah. I don't know what $1 million feels like.
I don't either, man. But hell, man, you just set the dream for me, man.
Yeah, me too.
Must be pretty cool.
Hey, listen, this is great. I'll tell you what we're going to do here because of the clock. This is probably the longest interview I've done.
Oh, really? Oh,
No.
We can definitely.
It's
yeah.
beautiful. We're all leaving
Yeah,
at the
love
same
it.
time. Here, we're going to pretend this isn't virtual. We're all grabbing our jackets and we're heading out together, and we'll talk in the parking lot. So,
Wouldn't that be awesome? All day.
Amazing.
so I want the two of you to hang tight for 1 second. Just
Okay.
stay right where you are. We can still hear you. We can still see you. I'm going to close the show and we're just going to say goodbye to everybody. I'm going to hit the stop go live button, and then the three of us will kind of say goodbye one-on-one. All right.
Got it.
Sounds great.
All right. So Keaton Simons on the show today, ladies and
Amazing.
gentlemen. Amazing.
Amazing.
The new co-host is back. So Keaton, I don't know if I told you this, but so Rebecca and I had a radio show years ago, and we just brought her back yesterday.
Oh, awesome. You guys have such great chemistry. I love you both. What a cool, and that dynamic, like having another person that you can bounce stuff off of.
Yes.
That's like everything.
She was ready for you at 5 o'clock this morning, man. She's like, oh my gosh, did you read up on this guy? And I'm the guy who goes, yeah, I'll read it at 5:45.
Oh, last night I was all over him. It's like,
yeah, like me and Cornell.
Exactly.
Beck, relax. We don't need to rehearse this. He'll show up.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. The fun never stops. Ladies and gentlemen, have yourself an awesome weekend. God bless you all. Pay it forward. Pay it forward. Let your light shine. We will see you all later. Thank you so much. Monday morning, Waking Up to the Vibe with Joe Altieri and Rebecca Piccone. Special thank you to Keaton Simons. Bye-bye now. All right. Now, hold on one second because it never really goes off. They probably still hear us. Hi, everybody. Bye, everybody.
Still saying goodbye.
You're still saying goodbye until the red light goes off.
Goodbye.